This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
Coming to you live from Dim Saturday, we bring you the Nerdy Manroom show with your host, Hassel and Monster. And Monster, I figured, you got Turkey Day, you got Black Friday, so why the fuck not have Dim Saturday? It's getting a little brighter.
Yeah, but then you need a name for Sunday because Monday is Cyber Monday.
Whitey Sunday. It is inclusive, people, though. It is very inclusive.
Yeah, we might find a better name than that. Oh yeah, it has been it's been a little bit forced, but I know I was traveling for work, and then as everybody could tell, I'm a little bit under the weather trying to get out of that, and then we had a holiday weekend as well, so it has been busy at least here. But I will admit I didn't go anywhere for Black Friday, and I only ordered like 2 or 3 things online. I ordered a bunch of movies pre-Black Friday because they were already on sale, and I just didn't leave the house yesterday. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll be honest, I didn't see a lot of things just bowled me over anywhere. I mean, maybe that toy store had a decent sale there, but I pretty much had everything they had that was on the sale. I was like, shit, I wish I'd have bought it at these prices, but
yeah,
nothing just stuck out to me there, Amazon or anywhere. Honestly, I bought a few things from my daughter and wife. Other than that, I haven't bought anything.
I bought a few things for family members on Black Friday, but nothing that was mine other than just picking up movies for my collection. Like I got the Transformer Rise of the Beast because yes, it's on streaming and I've seen it, but I like to have the physical copy because you never know, the solar storm's coming up, the internet might go out. So, hey, I need something to actually do here. So
I promise you there'll be a day where we'll need physical media again. It's going to happen, people.
And I like to get certain ones, but I think I picked up like Rise of the Beast for $8. I picked up Across the Spider-Verse for $11. You can't beat them when they're that price because normally they're up to like just base Blu-ray digital combos like $25 a piece now. So not bad on those. I picked up probably, I can't remember how many. I spent $55 and I picked up probably about almost $200 worth of movies if you added the 25 that they're supposed to be.
Oh, wow.
So
that's what's up.
So that was nice. But other than that, I didn't shop for anything other than family member gifts. I'm still
kind of peeking around right now. I got to check entertainment, or my boy Big Rob sent us a thing this morning about it. I had not thought to check it out, but
I checked them. I checked Big Bad, and I know that they'll have some different stuff on sale for Cyber Monday. TF Source has been doing a lot of sales on third-party Transformers masterpieces and stuff for the because they do Black Friday week, so every day it's a different sale stuff. If you're looking for any Seekers, you might want to look on there. They had a few Seekers for like $50, marked down from 160 or whatever they are. But
I might have to check that out.
I checked those out, and there was one thing on Big Bad that Mafex Cyclops in his X Factor uniform that I came close to picking up. I just haven't done it yet, but I'm debating on if I'm going to do it before the weekend's over or not.
The one that almost reeled me in was the $45 Mezco Stealth Armor Iron Man. That one looks really good. It's typically like $100, but
yeah,
it actually I wasn't big on stealth armor, but the figure itself just looks pretty damn cool, and it's got a magnetic visor and everything, so it's just pretty neat.
Yeah, so outside of Black Friday shopping and everything, I think we're getting ready to. It is Saturday as we were recording, and Survivor Series War Games is this weekend. So we decided this week we were going to take a look back at some past War Games moments, maybe pick some of those, maybe not necessarily go through them all line by line, just because I will tell you I don't remember all of them. You might have a better memory of more of them than I do, but certain things stick out. But we were going to touch on some of that. But before we get there, let's do Geek Week updates. And so I can rest my voice a couple of minutes, I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, like most people, it's Turkey Week. So, we had a short work week. Thank God. We praise the Lord for that one there. But enjoyed family and friends and feasting and few drinks on Thanksgiving Day, and unfortunately, my wife brought an animal home. So we now have extended the Hassel clan to a small dog about this size. That for whatever reason I hear 400 times a day it's just a baby, and yeah, it does a bit of yelping. Guess it didn't yelp last night, so there's that. Um, so yeah, that was Thanksgiving, and like I said, Black Friday I didn't do much of anything. I did let her calm me into taking her to TJ Maxx, and I sat in the truck while she went inside and done her thing in there, and then we did go enjoy a little bit of a little bit of the garden. Ate some basic white people Italian. Um, yeah, got a few beers out of it. That was a win for me. Brought home some public sushi. Can't go wrong there. But I
I don't
said,
know.
Geek Week
That's a
wise,
long
man,
that's a long drive with sushi, man.
it. You know what? Public sushi holds if it has enough preservatives, it's fine. Which I do the cooked kind. I don't do raw. I don't really fuck with raw. I get like basically it's either crab meat, like the crab salad, the crab sticks, or shrimp. That's about all I fuck with. Every blue moon, you might get me with if it's fresh at the Japanese restaurant. I'll fuck with salmon. But other than that, nah, your boy ain't doing all the weird raws. I sure ain't gonna try to cart it 30 miles home in the back seat of my truck. Not happening. So, yeah, I did stop by yesterday. Got the guest star on Big Rob's House of Entertainment with no Chinese food. That was a first. Got to be the first guest star on there, where we give our predictions for tonight's War Games and Survivor Series. I watched a few old Survivor Series yesterday. I did enjoy that while I went through, and I actually took the time to redo the man room. So in doing so, I stumbled upon Ziploc bag after Ziploc bag of accessories, whether they be hands, heads, guns, body parts of various sorts. I was like, shit, I need to organize this stuff. So I have my entire kitchen table just covered yesterday, and I was trying to sort them by section because I'm a nerd like that. I got to have all the G.I. Joe shit together, the WWE, the Marvel, the DC, etc., even the 3 3/4 Joes. So while I was doing that, I cut on, started with the 89 Survivor Series, and I went my way up to about 91. So I did enjoy that. But that's about as much nerdom as I've got to do. I'm looking forward to, I'm going to play a little bit of WWE 2K today. I want to play a couple Survivor Series matches after we get done recording. I'm going to probably watch Michigan and Overrated State play. That should be a good game. Tonight, I will be back and forth between Georgia and Georgia Tech versus each other in a rivalry game because Georgia's going to murder the stew out of them. So it ain't going to be much. I'll probably watch it on my phone on Hulu while I watch the premium live event on the TV.
Yeah, mine hasn't been very busy either. Like I said, I've been under the weather, but I did finally, as you said, turn on something on TV and started. I don't even remember what was on. It was just something random that I needed. Oh, I watched the Sylvester Stallone's documentary, The Sly, on Netflix while I was actually
Is that any good?
redoing. It wasn't bad, but I wasn't watching it as much as I was just listening to it because I was redoing my G.I. Joe shelves. I finally finished up all my Detolf shelves of G.I. Joe, at least for now. And then, yeah, I had a couple extra things come in because I had my Power Ranger shelves, which you showed on here last time, and I had all that done on except for I was missing the Alien Red Ranger for my Forever Red shelf, and I got that on a pre-Black Friday sale for like half off, and got another box of those. And outside of that, I was going to sell the rest of the Alien Rangers. I was like, nah, I'm just going to put them on my extra shelf with my Thunder Megazord and Ninja Rangers and my Omega Rangers, and just kind of finished setting all that up. But that's really all I did with that. And other than that, I did watch a little bit of I've been watching a few holiday movies, just kind of honestly nodding off in the middle of them because of taking versions of Dayquil and NyQuil in between those. And but I did binge a show that Big Rob recommended called Almost Paradise, and it's one of those that you can get on Amazon Prime, and it's free to watch, but it's only 2 seasons of it, about 10 episodes a season. But if you like shows like Leverage or anything like that, where it's kind of like a con or undercover type thing, it's pretty much like that. And it has one of the guy Christian Kane, who was in Leverage, and then Angel. He's the main character in that, and he's a former DEA agent that lives in the Philippines now on the island where he bought a gift shop and stuff. And just after he retired from active duty, and he starts helping the local police force with stuff. And it's actually a pretty entertaining show. Got a good mix of comedy and action at the same time. So I sat there and binged through most of that. Actually, I finished it yesterday late, but it was actually pretty entertaining to watch. It wasn't anything spectacular, but it's one of those where, hey, I can watch this and get a few hours of enjoyment out of it.
If you're looking for something just to kill some time with us, it's worth a good laugh. Go to Peacock and watch Strays.
I watched that. That is hilarious.
I actually I enjoyed that pretty great. We watched that Sunday night, I believe it was.
I didn't realize exactly how adult themed that one was at first, because I kept seeing previews and I didn't see anything like that. And then he's like, "We're gonna go bite his dick off." I'm like, "What?"
Oh, and did they? Did they ever? Like my wife, she doesn't really go in for a lot of that too much. She's not as she's not a heathen like I am. So she will kind of abstain from some of those things. And she's like, "How bad's it going to be?" I said, "It's my dogs. I mean, no, they should be great." No, we go in there, and next thing you know, they're like, he's fucking the garden on 20. I'm fucking my son. And I was like, "Oh, it's awful."
Yeah,
and she just looks at me. Yeah, she just looks with this pure look of disdain at me. I'm just like, I didn't know.
Yeah, I watched that one a while back when it first hit there, but I'd kind of forgotten about it. But it was funny. And then I have been watching the Santa Clauses on Disney, because that's, for whatever reason, that the show of that is so much better than the movies were. But I've enjoyed that show. Other than that, the only other thing I've done in my little bit of a week home here is play Spider-Man 2. I'm about 40% of the total game done. I have no idea how far along I am on the main story, because I keep leaving to do the side missions to get more skill points, so that when I get to the main missions, that's like easier to run through them.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to hit the 100% anyway, but I've been playing the side missions so much that I'm like, all right, it's hard to go back to the main one.
Not one fucking place had that for sale on Black Friday. Nowhere. I mean, I looked Walmart, I looked Target, I looked at GameStop, Amazon. Nobody had this thing on sale. It was $65 everywhere.
Well, I knew it wouldn't be, because it did just come out like October 20th, and they haven't even released the full whatever they call it, the next package, the upgrade to get the additional stuff. Like, the last one they had like Black Cat missions and stuff that you could buy after the fact. They haven't even released the downloadable content packages for it yet, and I think it's only, if you buy the $65 version, I think it's only $10 more once you get it home to go buy the add-on for the deluxe version, which gives you a couple more outfits and stuff. But that is such a fun game to sit there and just play.
Those outfits look terrible. I when I was looking at the pre-order, and that's why I didn't bother to pre-order. I said, I'll just wait, and I'll play it later, because I'm still playing. Like I said, I'm playing Diablo. I'm playing 2K. I got Mortal Kombat 1. I'm still playing. So I was like, if I buy it now, I'll leave those alone and I won't fuck with them. So I'll wait for a little while and then I'll go back to it. But I was looking at the pre-orders, because I didn't want to miss out of those, just like last year or the last one. Some of the pre-orders like Ben Riley, Scarlet Spider, and that's always an outfit I want. But then I looked on there and there was just like some tech suits or some shit, and I was like, these look bad. And I inverted between Miles and Peter. It was like, I don't know, it didn't bowl me over.
So one of the things I do like on this one were, those weren't that great, but the kid wanted them, so I pre-ordered because it was his birthday anyway. So the suits on there, a lot of the suits, once you craft the suit or you get that outfit, you can actually hold down a different button and craft different versions of it. So you can like for Spider-Man 2099 for Miles, you can go in there, and once you craft it, you can actually, there's 4 different colored versions of the suit. One inverts the colors from the regular to like the reverse. And then usually there's like a white version or a purple version or something of those. So there's more options for that. But I will tell you, like Miles' suits, there's nothing impressive I've seen in any of his. Now, for Peter's, you get not only all the movie suits, and you get even like the final No Way Home suit, but you can get $20.99, but you only get the first $20.99, not the white one, the second one he had, but the original one.
It's
But
really
you can
underrated suit too. It looks cool.
and you can get different colors of that costume as well. But you can also get Scarlet Spider. You can get the second Scarlet Spider suit, the one that Ben wears for like 2 issues when he comes back, that has the hoodie on it.
No,
Where he steals it from the. This is after he's been the Jackal, and he comes back and he steals a
Yeah.
suit from a
his
cosplayer.
mind's fractured.
Yeah.
More for like
You-
2 issues, and then he went back to the old school.
They actually give you that suit, and you can get it in 4 different colors. So it's kind of cool
Okay.
to have that one. The Iron Spider always looks good on there. They have it for the movie version as well as the comic version. So Superior Spider-Man outfits in there. So Peter's got a lot of good ones. I just don't care much for Miles's. I will say though, I was surprised that Peter didn't get that Threats and Menaces suit, the blue and white and yellow one he had for a few issues. That one is not in there, and which is in one of the newer ones. So I was kind of surprised about that.
I'm hoping they level Peter off in this one here because I actually really enjoyed playing with Miles and Miles Morales game better than I did playing with Peter in the Spider-Man 1. So I mean, I'm hoping they level the playing field a little bit.
So Peter is strong. I find that Peter's stronger when he hits. It takes less hits to kill somebody than Miles. But Miles has all the Venom Blast stuff. But Peter gets the spider arms on every outfit as like his version of the Venom attack, basically. And then once you get the symbiote, which I haven't gotten to yet, but I've seen the kid play with it, it gives you a huge power upgrade.
So that was the thing I think why I like playing with Miles better is because you do the stealth with the chameleon stuff, and then he had the Venom Blast also. So between the two, they just fit my play style a little better than Parker. And in the first one, it was a lot of chasing shit, and I just did not like that.
There's some chasing stuff in this one. It's annoying, I will admit that, but it's there's not a lot of stealth work in this one. So
I
that's your miss out
completed,
on.
100% on Miles. I didn't ever actually beat the game with Peter because I got to this one helicopter chase, and I just said after about 200 fucking attempts, my anxiety was about to blow up. I went back to it 3 different times, and the same thing. I said, fuck it, I'm done.
There's one mission where you have to chase a guy in a car. There's a few of them on the game, but there's one in particular that I have not been able to do yet. For whatever reason, I don't care how close I get to this guy, I cannot get onto the car and get him out of it. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to turn that one over to the kid because he can do it, and I'll do the rest of the stuff.
So that's why you should bring Mittens over, and Mittens would, get past these problematic areas because he's a, one of those that just has to have 100% of everything. So then I could get to the next level, and then I could do my thing again. But I was sad to hear they brought back the Mary Jane stealth little missions too. Those were fucking awful.
They do that, and they do the is it Haley, the deaf girl from Miles's game, has a little side mission where you have to go around and spray paint over some graffiti and then find a graffiti artist and help them out.
Oh, why?
That I don't understand. And there's a couple missions on this one where Peter has to ride like a bicycle. Man, they are not hard, but they are annoying.
I'll wait till they hits 45 bones in. Just gonna say.
But other than that, that's been all I've done for my nerd week, or my geek week. So let's go straight into focus topic, more games, and I'm going to let you start us off so I can recenter my voice again.
All right. Well, so for those of you who are too young to tell, in the late 80s, it was a much, much different time than what it is in today's world. So in the late 80s, when, the match beyond war games, baby, the dream child of the American War, Dusty Woes. So when this came about, the 80s was a time where people knew what bathroom to use. We had morals still. It was just a different country, So when this 2-ring double caged with a top on it phenomenon just shows up, I mean, it's like, whoa, that's mind blowing, It really was it was next level. It was very cool. I remember being a young child because I was a young lad then. And I said the first one I seen, you had the 4 Horsemen who everyone just hated at the time. Ric Flair was not beloved in the 80s and 90s until a certain point. So, you had him, and it was the ultimate version Well, no, the next year was the Ultimate version. They still had Luger this year in the first one. So you had Rick, you had Luger, you had Arn and Tully. So that's a pretty damn stout crew there. And then you had on the opposite side the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. You had Nikita Koloff. You had the Road Warriors. I mean, this was a fucking just.
So, and that's the one that gets me is that Nikita was on the team because for so long he was supposed to be the big bad guy with Magnum TA and stuff, right? And he's supposed to be he's the Russian villain.
87 was the year he turned face because for whatever reason when TA went down, they just filled him straight into that role. Because I remember he was still teetering on the bad guy level, but he was such a badass. Like literally, he almost went to the WWF and was almost who Hogan faced at WrestleMania 2. That was literally what was the game plan at one point. He was going to leave Jim Crockett, go there and face Hogan at Mania 2, and then his ultimate prize would have been he'd have won the Intercontinental Championship at some point. And then he decided to stay because guaranteed money. Crockett was the only person doing that then, so he stayed. I mean, didn't work out too bad for him, but I mean, it was crazy to think what could have been.
It was surprising to see him be a hero though, and he was such he became such a big face versus how much of a heel he was. But especially in a time where it's still the Cold War and there's still animosity with the U.S. It's almost like they took Rocky IV and said, "You're our Ivan Drago at the end."
Well, he was he actually auditioned for that. Him and someone else was pretty damn well known auditioned for Drago. And he was actually in the final listings, but then ultimately we got, thankfully, Drago that we know and love. But he's the first person I've ever seen getting pile drived and just getting back up. That was the coolest shit ever. It's like,
And for anybody who's curious, no, he's not really Russian. He's from like Minnesota.
Yeah. That's a great Russian though. I mean, hey,
he does, and
he made me hate him and love him. It worked. Then hate him again towards the end. He done a good heel turn in the early 90s.
But did you realize that they were doing those? Because I didn't know this until we were talking about looking at this, and I only had a brief moment to look, honestly, just because everything going on and trying to recover from sickness. But when I looked at like what some of the different War Games matches were, because only one stood out in my mind that like was my favorite, and I remember this one, but this was not my favorite. My favorite one was the one with Sting, the Road Warriors, and Nikita.
Yeah.
And who else was with them? Because wasn't there one more? Luger might have been with them.
Yeah, one year he was
against the Horsemen, and that was the one I remember the most because that's the first one I remember watching. But what I remember I didn't realize that they repeated these War Games matches so many times, the exact same match. Like if you watch the one you're talking about was on house shows and on TV.
Initially, it was like part of the Great American Bash, and the Great American Bash wasn't just one pay-per-view; it was a tour. They done a tour in multiple cities, and that led up to the final show, which was the pay-per-view, which they done. So they had perfected this match by then because they done it 200 fucking times.
Yeah, but you see how brutal it is, and because they're inside of a cage, almost everybody bleeds at least once or twice in this match. And I'm like, you guys were doing this like multiple times.
That's what lets you know what level they were on and throughout the 80s and even into the 90s with house shows. They took them just as serious as they did, the live events or the pay-per-views or whatnot. I mean, and there was one match I found that surprised me. I did not even know this was a War Games match. Somehow or another, it got by me, and it was from '89. And when I seen it, I was like, "Holy shit!" And I watched some of it. It was a great match, actually. But you had Dr. Death, Steve Williams, the Midnight Express, and the Road Warriors. Now, can you see that them five teaming up? Hell no.
No.
But they did versus the Freebirds, which was Jimmy Garvin and Michael Hayes at the time, and Terry Gordon, and the Samoan SWAT team. Now, for those of you who don't know, Terry Gordon is a huge fucking guy. Huge guy. Dr. Death takes this guy at one point, press slams him into the cage, a spot that Sting done with Flair, where he's just like pumping him, into the ceiling.
That's one
Just
of those ones I
Terry
remember.
Gordy that way. I was like, holy shit. That was, yeah, that one match though, somehow or another it got by me. I don't remember how or why. I've never seen that one, but I was a little ashamed that I hadn't. It was a great match, actually.
So just looking at it here, just because I didn't realize how much, but and I pulled it up on the phone while you were talking. There was like 43. After today, there will be like 43 War Games matches, and you're like you just can't remember that being that many because you're thinking it's just pay per view, but they were doing so many house shows.
Yeah,
and then it went
and
to
the
just pay per views in like the 90s.
This actually spawned a lot. I mean, Vince doesn't give credit because it's not his creation. That's just not how Vince is wired. This was Dusty's creation, but honestly, so much is seeded out of Dusty's creations throughout various wrestling promotions. But today, if it were not for the War Games, we would not have Hell in a Cell. We would not have the Elimination Chamber. And you would not have what AEW calls Blood and Guts. Blood and Guts is probably the truest thing to the original format of the War Games because they actually do surrender or submit. They don't do the pinfall. But WCW they started doing that in the later years. So I mean, in all fairness, WWF just adapted the later format of the War Games and took the top of the cage off, and they've done that so that that makes Hell in a Cell still seem special.
So let me throw one at you that might have been a bad one, because I'm looking at the names on this and I'm like, I don't remember.
I feel like I already know which one it is.
From 1991. I'm looking at this and I'm like, who in the world put this together? Sting, Lex Luger, the Yellow Dog, and El Gigante. Barry Windham versus Barry Windham, Nikita Koloff, Kevin Sullivan, and One Man Gang.
That was the year that Flair was supposed to be in there. And Flair went to the WWF. It's 90, I believe. And Sullivan had to substitute for him. Brian Pillman had lost a loser leaves town match, so he was the Yellow Dog under the mask. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
it wasn't as bad in format video as it is on paper.
The names alone was like, okay, I see a few stars and a few people like, why in the world are they in there?
The one that actually, the Brian Pillman War Games match that stands out the best to me is where Sid power bombs him into the fucking ceiling and then back down. He had a bum shoulder going into the match, and then he's just like driving him into the fucking mat with that fucking shoulder. And it's like, oh man, like you really got sympathy for the dude. It's like, man, you're gonna give birth to a terrible pro wrestler later that don't even use your name. And you're getting power bombed. This is awful.
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking at some of these others. The Shockmaster being in one of them stands out.
Oh God, that one there. Now that's where they started getting kind of bad. They started kind of remained pretty good because, like, the one I'm talking about, the one with where Pillman gets slung through the roof. You had Sting, Pillman, Elegante, and the Steiner brothers, which, Elegante, he is what he is. He was a failed draft pick for the Atlanta Hawks, and, WCW got saddled with him. But a sleeper,
you're talking about.
If you want a sleeper, go to 92, Sting Squadron. You got Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes, Nikita Koloff, Ricky Steamboat, and Sting versus the Dangerous Alliance of Arn Anderson, Beautiful Bobby, Larry Sabisco, Rick Rude, and Steve Austin. That's a sleeper right there. That's a banger.
That one I somewhat remember a little bit of that one because I just remember the Dangerous Alliance and Paulie Dangerously always hitting people with that big ass 1990 cell phone.
It was massive, and Sting and Rude had a hell of a feud during that time. I mean, Rude was firing on all cylinders. Had he not got hurt and could actually stay with the promotion throughout, the end of '93, like it was originally planned before he had a back injury. Man, it's scary to think what could have happened. Maybe they could have busted onto those things because they were putting out some great matches at the time. Like across the board, look at the star power they had. I mean, you had young Dustin Rhodes, you had Steve Austin, way before he, was in the twilight of his career. Because realistically, he's in the twilight of his career when he hits WWF, even as the ringmaster. He had 5 years left at that point.
Well, So let me ask a couple of questions on the war games because there's a few things that I don't remember of the format. So it had how often has it been 5-on-5 or did it start 4-on-4 or was it 5-on-5 from the beginning?
It was 5-on-5 from the beginning because they actually had the two managers in there. Because
Uh,
J.J. Dillon and Paul Ellering were both in the match.
That's why I couldn't remember if they were actually in it or if they were just there.
They were initially in it, and that's how they kind of skated around anybody taking the L. You know, they was going to put it on the managers, one of the two managers, depending on what city they were in. And then when they go to do it for the pay-per-view, that's when Hawk just separates JJ's shoulder and just murders him. And I think he spent the night in the hospital. It was brutal. They got it for the Doomsday device, not realizing the ceilings, he shuttles across and just murders this poor bastard. It's yeah.
Oh, and so has I think the format now, and it might have always been the same way, is it one team gets to start and they get the advantage because they get their person out next. Has it always gone back and forth, or was it? Because I thought there was a time where it was like, okay, it was always a lottery, like in one team could have like three people out there with one person in there from the other team. Or has it always been a back and forth?
No, it's always been back and forth as far as I can recall. I think they done a lottery as to who got the advantage. Because I just recently I remember them start doing this thing where you have a match to see who gets the advantage. And I like that. That's not bad. That's a little different versus the lottery, but
I like that.
It's typically predictable. The heels are going to almost always get the advantage so that the baby faces can sell and, make the big comeback at the end if they do pull it off.
I actually enjoy the War Games and Survivor Series in general, but what I've never really what I don't care for is when they start making little subtle changes to it. Is like you look at the Survivor Series War Games that's going on today. The men's is a 5-on-5 match, which is what it should be. The women's is only 4-on-4.
That's true.
Like, you couldn't throw another lady in there. I mean, you got plenty of them. You're not doing anything with.
What was just as crazy is you're at the Survivor Series and we don't have one traditional Survivor Series match.
Yeah, if you weren't going to do War Games with a 5-on-5 with the girls, why didn't you do a traditional Survivor Series with them and then War Games with the guys?
Well, there's so much talent left off this card. There is a shit ton of talent left off this card. And I didn't me and Big Rob was discussing some of it yesterday. The obvious standouts are Roman, Jimmy Uso, LA Knight. But then I got thinking about it. You got, Kevin Owens is not on this card. Grayson Waller, Austin Aries, what's his damn name? Austin Theory. Theory. There's a shit ton of people not on this card. Why would you not at least have a traditional Survivor Series match?
Well, if you're going to do the War Games with Judgment Day and Cody and them, which is fine, I can't believe you're not doing anything with Bloodline on there,
How does Roman not make one of the big four?
And
that is baffling to me.
And if nothing else, if you're going to use your main stars like that, why not do a mid-card level, Intercontinental U.S. title type people to do a traditional Survivor Series, and you can do SmackDown versus Raw like you used to do? Because they've been, with these new GMs in place, they kind of been playing a little bit of a, especially with Nick Aldis, when he's on there with Adam Pearce, they're like a little bit of an antagonism.
They're cutting each other's throats a little bit. So you thought that they were going to do the brand versus brand.
I thought that, and I thought, well, if you're not going to use your main folks who are in these other top stories, at least you could put Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, and some of them in a brand versus brand. And you could have used Chad Gable, who's on fire right now, and a few others. Like, why not do that?
I know we're talking about War Games, but since it is Survivor Series as well, which format of the Survivor Series did you like the best? Did you like the one where it was all the different teams and then it led up to one team at the end of the night? Or did you like just various rivalries for the teams?
I felt like the rivalries made more sense, but did give you a thing in the end, like, can this person really work with this person? Like, even though they were all faces or all heels, they didn't still all get along. But man, looking back at some of those, because I looked at a Survivor Series thing on Instagram the other day about some of the teams, I was like, how are these people on the same team? Because these were like, for me as a kid, it's so hard to see that this person was a face and a heel at the same time.
That'd be like one or two like stars and a couple of ham and eggers on there because you knew they had to took the L on the so that the stars could shine at the end and be the sole survivor.
But it's be a weird pairing. Like you'd have Jake the Snake Roberts on Hulk Hogan's team. It's like, it's hard for me to ever envision Jake the Snake Roberts as a face, ever.
I didn't know if he was for quite a while. He didn't truly become a heel to the end of his run at WWF.
But he just never stands out as a face. If you think back on it, from a standpoint of being a kid back then, it's like
that was actually the Survivor Series I was up to, where Macho Man got reinstated because he was fixing to do the match with him at Texas and Tuesday, Texas. Hey, yeah, that guy. So yeah, you get it, people.
I was going to say, I was trying to think of something to say to come back on that for you, but
to me, I like the one where it leads up to the winners all go to, because you had the Ultimate Warrior Hogan, and all they got was Tito Santana. Arriba! And then you had the $1 Million Man and the entire Visionaries team with their Bottle and Warlord. Warlord got the worst outs every year. I watched this poor bastard 3 years in a row. He would take the worst losses. He'd come to the ring looking like $1 million, and some just jabroni would throw the most basic move on him and pin him. He'd never even do a kick out. It just, oh shit, I got pinned. Like, what the fuck, dude? At least make a attempt at it or something, or make them do a devastating finisher where it's believable that your big ass is laying there for 3 count. Instead, take a clothesline and oh shit, he got him. I do miss Gorilla Monsoon though. We'll say that. I'd like to see Gorilla and Oli and Gordon Soley doing the War Games tonight.
I don't know. Anytime anybody says something about announcing, I want Gorilla and Bobby Heenan.
Them two are a pair. They were doing one of the ones I was watching last night, and every time Ric Flair was out there, and Bobby would be all just glowing for the real world's champion. And then Gorilla would be trying to save face. We don't even know where that belt come from. I was like, well, way to throw shade at the NWA world title. And that's not those guys with attitude, for those of you who don't know. That was a prestigious belt at one time.
Yeah, it was. Which I like the Dome Globe belt, but which one was the 10 pound? Was the 10 pounds of gold the one that Flair
10
left
pounds
with?
is the Dome Globe. That was the
old
NWA belt. Yeah. Well, that's still a great looking belt, and that's the one they use today. It's a little bigger than what it was initially, but still a great looking title. It's recognizable.
It's a little. If you notice too, it's actually got a different. And I didn't realize this, but I was looking at a replica when I was thinking about buying at a store in the 70s and 80s. The original Dome Globe actually, instead of having the belt in there, and then you have how you see the stitching around in the leather before they put where the plates at and stuff. This was actually braided leather under the actual plates and stuff, and on the top and the bottom all around the belt. It's actually a braided leather. But then the current one is while it's still got the same plates as those did, it's got the stitching and the regular belt look versus the braided leather under it. But the old one actually had braided leather.
EC3 is their champion. Let's just be honest here.
Well, they're also upset that they didn't get their TV deal, and
that's what happens when you do coke on TV.
And their boss went into hiding and wouldn't answer phone calls for a few days.
Yeah, put them in the match beyond. Let's see them in the War Games. Them and NXT could do a battle over who actually gets CW.
You know what though? NXT is actually, as much as I don't watch it, they are on the rise for what they're doing.
They're a glorified farm system. I'll give them credit. They got production value next to none because they're WWE produced. Shawn Michaels does do a good job with them. But like I said yesterday on Big Rob's show, they're an entrance show. They cultivate amazing entrances that define this small group of fans, because it's in the same fucking place every week. So you get a lot of repeat fans. So they form a following. And by the time you get conditioned at home when you hear the fans chanting and singing with this damn song, to where if they ever do go to a live city somewhere, you just think you're supposed to do this shit. So they cultivate entrances there.
They do, but look at their ratings on TV. Their ratings actually beat. They are the C show, for better term, for WWE. Their ratings beat the B and the C show for AEW every single week.
No, that's no doubt. I mean, they got their following,
That's
they got their group. I mean, it is. I'm
it,
not knocking the
I
show.
can't
I don't
I
watch it.
can't believe that they beat the B show for AEW. I'm like, you started a whole second, a third show, and it's supposed to be your primary, your
While we're talking
secondary
about
one.
that,
It's like, wow.
how fucking unhinged is Tony Khan? Yeah, I mean, for better or worse, he picked Saturday nights for his B show. And at the time, WWE was not doing Saturday night premium live events; they were still Sunday nighting.
Right.
They had went Saturday night. So I mean, that wasn't his fault. He thought he had CM Punk. He thought he had the star power there for it, but he don't. And now here he is tonight, he is not only going to do the live collection, which he's obligated to do. I mean, this is what it is. But he's pulling Rampage from Friday night to Saturday night to do a 3 hour live, 2 hours Collision, 1 hour Rampage live versus Survivor Series. He's gonna get fucking murdered. People are gonna. Is the one time even though pay per view is dead.
Oh yeah.
But for the premium live events, you do have to pay your $9.99 a month. He's gonna get murdered by people paying $9.99 a month tonight.
Well, and there was something I saw the other day, and I didn't read the full article about how I guess ticket sales for Survivor Series for what WWE runs, it may not necessarily be the biggest seller of all time, but the ticket sales were, as they put it, through the roof for them, and anything that AEW had in this week was like down in the dumps. I was like, man,
it's crazy what they want for their tickets. Like if you look at it, because like I said, I haven't looked at day of because I'm just not a gambler. For any show, there's no shows in my area. It's not like I can just go downtown after work to one. You get tickets that day. So for me, I'm going to drive 3 hours, 4,
right.
to any live event that I'm going to get to go to. So I have to map out a day off of work, you burn some PTO and buy tickets in advance. Because if not, I'll burn a day of PTO on a gamble. So when I look at tickets, I look in advance when they're first going to sell typically because I always want to get good seats. But dude, they want fucking ridiculous prices for these seats now. Like what we used to call good seats is fucking just like $500 now. And to sit in what we would call the rafters, something we might have spent, $60 or $70 for in the mid 2000s, it's still $200.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And what's crazy is that WWE's prices are no better but they, I guess the name has been out there so long, they still sell a very large amount of tickets comparatively speaking.
Well, I think their deal is they don't do so many house shows now, so they figure, hey, if we're only going to do, I think they pretty much only run the Saturday night show, which they call the main event at whatever town they're in, and then they probably run a Sunday show, I suppose, and they run Raw, and the Raw crowd goes home, and the SmackDown crew probably does Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday night and goes home. So I mean, I get it. So they're basically working from Friday till Monday, nowadays. So they're not doing all the house shows they used to do because they've done, 28 days a month at one, up until COVID. And since COVID, it's just a handful of shits. So I guess they make their money where they can get it nowadays. But I just don't want to see them bad enough for that there. Because I mean, the last WrestleMania I went to was the WrestleMania in Atlanta, and that's been some time. I get it, people. They've been 10 or so since then. However, this was a pretty damn stacked WrestleMania in Atlanta. And for me and my daughter, I didn't have $400 in 2 tickets. And I was at the fucking ramp. Like literally, I had great seats. Great seats. $400. I'm not paying $400 each to sit at a AEW or a WWE semi ringside.
No, and I think we talked about this somewhat the other day that AEW, I think, would benefit more by cutting their ticket costs.
Absolutely.
Getting people to, so if you or I were going, so your daughter does not enjoy wrestling to a degree, right?
Yeah.
But if you bought tickets for you and her because you could afford them, you took her and the word of mouth spread, and maybe next time her and her boyfriend went with you, and maybe he got more people interested in it because they're cheaper seats or cheaper tickets. But the price they're selling tickets for, only the hardcore fans are going to go, and they're only going to pay for themselves. So
Well, if you
it's
got
not
a
like spreading the word of
15,000
mouth.
person arena and you cut the ticket price down to, $50 in cheap seats, $100 for ringside or whatnot, and you sell the fucking place out versus 3,000 people sparsely in different sections that's, blacked off so it looks decent on camera. I mean, do the math. It doesn't add up. Fucking sell the shit at that reasonable rate.
And it doesn't,
Reestablish your brand. That's what Tony needs to do. And
Yeah.
he had a brand that was somewhat there at one point. He started out good. He had his following, but he's not cultivated that following. He probably lost a handful, probably 200,000 or so, I'd say. And he's just hovering around those 800,000 people that's just his loyalist. And they're not showing up to the events either.
And
They're watching from home.
There's a lot of reports in the last week or so about how they're bleeding money, and he's brought in all this more talent, like bringing in Ric Flair. Yeah, Ric Flair's not wrestling, but what's he paying him?
Probably a stupid amount of money to freely advertise his energy drink. Woo! And have him show up every so often with Sting.
Which is an energy drink that not only has a warning, but also a disclaimer on the bottle. There's two different warnings on the bottle telling you don't drink more than one of these in a 24-hour period.
Really? That's some energy there. So that's basically cracking a can.
Well, and the first thing that stood out to me is I was listening to somebody else on a podcast talking about the ingredients in it, and first thing in there is like cordyceps, which is a fungus. But what stood out to me is that's the fungus that's the main fungus that causes zombieism and The Last of Us and stuff. I was like, that's considered a zombie fungus. I'm like, fuck, I ain't drinking that.
No, and what's it, probably about $5 a can?
Yeah, something like that. But it's amazing to see. But he's spending money on stuff like that, bringing Flair in, but they're not getting any more TV deals. They're not getting any more ticket sales. So the money now is just him spending his own personal money to play with his action figures.
Well, he's probably hoping. Well, one, his pride is exactly that. He's playing with his action figures. Two, he's probably hoping that's going to spark one of these TV companies to really want to do something with him. Because it's my understanding that the Warner Brothers Discovery or whatever, they're actually happy with the AEW product that they're getting.
That's what I've heard.
It's not that they're unhappy with it. I think there's some discrepancy about the pricing, though.
And he comes up for contract deals and stuff again, somewhat, I think, next year or the following year for TV rights. But there's also been reports, though, that part of all that is that there's been word that somebody thinks that the Warner Brothers Discovery, whatever they are, is wants to invest money into the show as part of and have some sort of ownership in the investment.
That didn't work out well for the last company.
No, and Tony is adamantly against that, but at the same time, the only time I've heard them be upset with any of the performance was the whole "let's cut you with a pizza cutter and let's run a Domino's pizza commercial in the middle of it," because Domino's pitched a fit about it.
And that can't happen back on TV since then. That's probably one of the things that Tony does the worst. He has too many of these fucking jabronis that's just never been nowhere but some indie house show shit, death match in somebody's backyard. And as much as I love Jim Cornette, I don't really agree with his current point of view on a lot of wrestling because I do feel Jim is very trapped in the 80s. Maybe somewhat into the 90s.
I like listening to his not much about it, but I don't agree with all of it.
He's fun to listen to, but I don't really 100% agree with him. But this is one thing I do agree with him. Tony Khan's a fucking idiot when it comes to shit like that. He's got way too much money and he is doing stupid shit. But they just buy all this talent and don't even utilize them.
Well, I think that the thing that I agree with him about is that Tony hires all this talent and then lets them dictate what they're going to do versus being the boss and telling them what they're going to do.
Well, like Jeff Jarrett, I mean, there's no telling what they're paying this guy. He doesn't hardly ever wrestle. And when he does wrestle, it's like, I mean, he wrestles more than Roman, don't get me wrong. They job him out. I mean, this is a guy that is still putting out quality matches. I mean, he's in his early 50s, but he's still putting out quality matches, though. He's got great physique. He's a fucking credible heel. You could do something with him other than have him come out and look goofy standing next to Jay Lethal and them do job matches.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But that's what he does. Like, you spend all this time building up Hangman Page. You just cut his legs out from under him, which don't get wrong. I like what they're doing with Swerve Strickland. you've got a viable heel there. And I can see him and MJF having a really great feud. I don't know if MJF still has the belt by the time he's ready for it, but they are building Swerve up. But you don't build two people up at the same time and then have the other one put the other one over, because while that one goes, this one comes down. You got to pretty much have that one person that's already here when you're building this person up to let him take it so that he comes up to his level and he don't go. I mean, that's basic booking.
The two things that I've been wondering about them lately is, one, how does your stars that came over like Edge really feel? Because, you know, he's used to running out there to a crowd of 20,000 people, and he runs out and he runs to one side and he looks at you, and you could just see the shock on his face, like, there's nobody on the side. I shouldn't have came over here.
Well, he was probably pissed that he really didn't get to do a full entrance on Dynamite on Wednesday, because they actually had a full crowd on Wednesday. Because when they actually, and you could tell because they panned that fucking arena. But how many times do they have to go to Chicago? Like, how many times do they contractually be obligated to Chicago when they got CM Punk? You can tell they're just like, hey, we'll do 50 home games for you, baby. We got you.
But there's been a lot of stuff lately, too, about where the fans are getting annoyed with some of the storylines of, like, I've seen a lot of reports of fans not happy with the storylines of Adam Cole and MJF.
It's getting drawn out.
Kenny Omega is getting a few negative reviews, but not as bad as like the Young Bucks, who are supposed to be there. You know, they're top.
They just took a hiatus again. They just took a hiatus again.
But all the fans are like, we don't even like this, watch them anymore. Their segments are where it's dropping off and ratings and stuff. I'm like, geez.
Kenny's hardly on there. The Bucks have just took a hiatus again. But they come back just long enough to teeter on, are they changing heels? Because we're going to battle over whether Kenny's ours or Jericho's. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, as much as I was a Jerichoholic at one point, I wish Jericho would just go away. I don't like what he's done in AEW since he lost the belt. Well, when he went from what was it the group with the where he had Warlow and LAX and the first group he had, the Inner Circle. Inner Circle also. He was a viable heel at that point. I mean, he looked like chewed bubblegum at the time. I will say he other than his chest, it looks terrible. He has abs now. God bless him. But everything he's done since the Inner Circle has just been fucking garbage. This comedy shit he does, he's no longer funny like he was when he was a teen degenerate or 20-something-year-old degenerate working that stick in WWE. The sports entertainment shit is awful. Like those two knuckleheads that are on and off with him, I just want to see them go away. Just go somewhere. Go to NWA. Go there. Disappear.
But he even when he was in Inner Circle, I don't think he elevated the younger talent he was working with like they said he did.
No, I think he might have gave them a great, insight to some things that they probably hadn't been under a learning tree as much as some of them. But I don't know. Certain talent, I think that was what Vince did do good. Don't get me wrong, Vince was Vince, and if he didn't create you, he don't give a shit about you. But I think he kept certain talent on the rails. Kind of like me by myself, I'll get off the rails. You keep me on the rails. So I think Vince done that. With Vince Russo, I think Vince Russo was probably a creative guy, as long as he had Vince McMahon there to say no, yes, no, yes.
Yeah.
Other talents, like he knew what to do with a Shawn Michaels. Because Shawn Michaels have done the same thing in WCW. No, he'd have been a fucking implosion over there.
Absolutely.
So was various other ones that went there. And I think that's like he kept Jericho in a certain lane. Now, from bell to bell, even today, Jericho still pulls good matches. But character-wise, I think he's like John Moxley. He's another one that I think he needs that person to tell him, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to get that in AEW, but we've been going on that for a while because we came out of War Games straight into that. So let's touch back. Is there anything else on the War Games we wanted to cover before we move into Nerd Out?
Go to YouTube. Go to the Peacock. Watch some of your older War Games. Anything from about 87 to 92, I'd say you can watch and really enjoy. Beyond that, you can watch that match. The one where the NWO is in their first year, and you get the fake Sting and all that shit. That's still a quality match. Beyond that, it gets a little muddled. I'll say that I didn't see another good War Games again until last year's. Last year's War Games with the Bloodline.
Yeah, that was a good
that was
one.
a great match. That was a great match.
I am looking forward to tonight's. I do want to see how that one plays out because I'm interested in a lot of the characters that's in it. Even though I'm not a Cody Rhodes fan, some of his outside the ring stuff has won me over lately. So I've been, I've wanted to see how they do with those matches. And Randy Orton's supposed to be back, so
slowly but slowly, Monster's going to be going, whoa!
No, I don't think we'll go that far. I'd rather see LA Knight in that spot, but
Dude, I thought that was where they was going with that. I really did. Like, because, what was it? Not this week, but last week on SmackDown. LA Knight's getting ganged out by Jimmy and Solo. And as I know where, there comes Cody to make the save. I'm like, you're not even on SmackDown. Makes no sense for you to be here. But, hey, great, because you got two good faces there. I thought they would help each other tremendously. So was it to get him onto, the team? And then, no, we get Randy Orton, which I'm not mad about. I mean, it's time for Randy to come back, but
if you go back to his NXT days, LA Knight was in some of the War Games there because I remember him cutting a promo with his team on Grayson Waller and stuff, and it's one of those funny promos he had where he was like throwing out the nah. A lot of times it was very funny to me because he's walking around and pacing around behind the rest of his team as they all talk, and then all of a sudden he starts just speaking over them.
So that's why I don't understand why he is not on this card tonight. Because he's like your hottest face right now.
Why is he
other than
not
Cody
having a singles match?
That's what I kind of thought they were going to build when they didn't go with the other. I thought, okay, maybe that's what we're getting.
Yeah.
And instead, now there's they're doing him and Kevin Owens as a tag team versus Grayson Waller in theory, and it's like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. But okay, I mean, what are we doing here? But he's not on the card, which is silly. But Rob and I, we discussed who we thought was going to win tonight. So, who is your winner? Who do you think goes over in the War Games?
Unless Orton turns on them, I got to go with Cody and them coming out on top, just because they're trying to sow dissension in the ranks of the Judgment Day. You see that with the Who's the Leader thing.
McDonough takes the fall.
Oh, JD McFunko Pop, yeah.
Yeah, he is their token Virgil. He is their guy that's just going to take loss after loss for that team.
A quick side note, he is one of those things where you talk about Jim Cornette says stuff that's funny. When he called him a Funko Pop, talking about how big his head looked compared to his body, I can't unsee it now. So every time I look, I was like, damn, his head really does not match his body size.
It doesn't. Debo Laddie got more head than he got body.
But yeah, I see him taking a fall or them doing something where he accidentally screws over Damian, who takes the fall, and because he's the one saying he's the leader. But either way, unless Orton turns on Cody and them, I see them winning it.
Oh yeah, hands down. That's what I'm thinking too. Big Rob had Judgment Day. Kudos to Big Rob though for being wrong. There's nothing wrong being wrong. It is what it is. It happens sometimes. I mean, I thought I was wrong once and I was mistaken. It happens.
Well, then you were wrong because you were mistaken that you were wrong.
I was wrong for doubting myself.
Oh. Before we get into too many tongue twisters here, let's go into Nerd Out. For anybody who hasn't been here before, this is where we ask random questions around the topics of the day and respond with little to no prep time. So we would love to hear your answers to our responses or to our questions or to expand on our responses. Please feel free to do that in the comment section. And yes, I am tongue twisted because I'm fighting to keep my voice at the moment. But Hassel, I'm going to let you go first with a question just so I can recover my voice a little bit.
So I'm going to do something a little different this time. So typically, we ask the question and it's like, you give what you would have and I'll give what I would have. So it's going to be a double-sided this one. I'm going to ask you, who would be your ultimate War Games team? You can choose face or heel, and I will pick the opposite team to go against them.
Oh, Lord. All right. So is it, you want current roster anytime?
You can do throughout time. You can build your ultimate team.
5 people?
5 people. You choose face or heel.
All right. I will go Hogan.
So you show your faces.
The faces. I'm gonna take
Okay.
Hogan.
I'll take the heels.
I'm gonna take a face Rock.
Okay.
Face HBK.
Okay.
Sting.
Ooh.
And the last one's hard. There's a lot of choices. Gotta have. Yeah. Let's see. So, the last one will be Bret Hart.
Ooh, you bastard. Okay. So Hogan, Rock, Sting, Brett, and who'd I miss?
Did you get Michaels?
Michaels. Okay. All right. So since you took Brett, I'm not going to lead out with 97 Brett like I was going to.
I was debating between him, Warrior, Undertaker, or Austin. But Austin, I just never enjoyed Austin in these big group matches like this. I liked him when he was just wreaking havoc on everybody.
All right. So, yeah, I'm going to start out with the Macho King. Yeah. We got the Macho King. Ric Flair. Andre the Giant. The Undertaker. And I'm going Ministry of Darkness Taker. No. Not Ministry of Darkness Taker. Big Evil Taker. The twilight of his badass career. And to round it out, the Great Muta.
That's a good team. I'm surprised it's honestly, I thought for a minute you were going to pull out $1 Million Man or something.
Dude, $1 Million Man and Rick Rude were my backups.
Rude would have been in mine. If I was going heel, I would have took Rude and Mr. Perfect.
And if I'd have took Rude, I'd have probably took 91 to 92 Rude because he was like next level right there.
I think Flair, Rude, and Perfect would be a good start for a heel team there.
That would be money right there. That's money, dude.
Macho Man rounds that out pretty well too.
I had to have Macho King, man. He was something special then.
So my question is not quite the same, but along the same lines. Let's talk about an interpromotional War Games match between AEW and WWE. Current roster. Who would you pick for AEW and who would you pick for WWE?
So for AEW, you got to have MJF. He's your world champion. So I'm going to go MJF, Hangman Page, Omega. Part of me really wants to put Swerve Strickland on there because I'm starting to dig him. Just to see Nana come to the ring with him would be gold. But I think I'm going to go FTR. That would round my 5 out.
That's a good choice.
And to go against them, you got to have Roman, obviously. Roman, LA Knights, Cody. That would just be interesting in itself, having Cody staring across at the AEWs.
Yeah.
Main event, Jay and Nakamura.
That's an interesting choice.
I think style-wise, I think he would just that would just be a banger of a match. If I didn't have Nakamura, I might would put Sikoa in there just to elevate him a little bit.
That's some interesting choices, especially those last few. For me, I looked at it and said AEW, FTR, Omega, MJF, and I went with Sting to round out the team just because you need experience in a War Games match. And for me, for WWE, I went Roman, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, and AJ Styles.
Man, I keep forgetting AJ's there. That's what's
because they don't do
crazy.
shit with him. But he's also
Yeah,
come out and said he's ready to kind of get out of the ring and be a backstage person there.
he is a Georgia boy. Go
But yeah,
Dogs.
I think him and I would like to see him and Omega in there as part of that match. I mean, that would be an interesting
I'd
inside
like to
that
see them two
cage.
start it. That would be
Yeah,
the two out of your group I'd like to see start it.
yeah, that would be an interesting one. I believe at the end of the day, just based on who all they have, I still think WWE would have to pull out the win for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an AEW fan, but I mean, I'm a realist enough to know. Well, I think it would be a great match. I mean, WWE pulls it off. I mean, they're next level. I mean, they're the A show for a reason. I mean, it's not just because they've got 50 years on AEW. It's just their production value is next to none, and they got the world's
Yeah,
greatest talents.
yeah, and I will admit, I actually, for me, my favorite match is always, or favorite pay per view has always been Royal Rumble, Premium Live Event, whatever it's called now. But Royal Rumble, and I toss up between Survivor Series and Mania as my number two. I mean, Mania is going to have bigger matches. I like the Survivor Series style matches. I like War Games. It's just something different besides just seeing a regular
They're
match.
fun. That's what made the Big Four special. I mean, you had the Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, which are both just gimmicked up. Then Royal Rumble, man. Then no, I'm sorry, WrestleMania, and then SummerSlam was like rivalries. So you had your two gimmicks and your two
Yeah,
rivalries, and then they spiced it up with King of the Ring, which was another.
I enjoy that a lot. And
If it were me, if I owned WWF right now, I would have those five and Money in the Bank. I would do 6 pay-per-views a
you
year,
know, I enjoyed Money
every
in the
two
Bank
months.
so much more when it was part of WrestleMania as a match versus a whole pay per view about it, because you could do a men and a women's Money in the Bank match as matches at Mania, especially with it being 2 nights, and just make that pay per view King of the Ring or something.
Okay, but fair enough. Then I would put Money in the Bank at WrestleMania and have Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
6 pay-per-views is plenty. Give a 2-month build time. You got time for storytelling there. You got, instead of just trying to shove some shit together. You know, some of the pay-per-views, let's be honest, are 3 weeks apart.
yeah.
Some might stretch out 5 weeks, and then it seems
But
like, wow, this
there's
is
unless you're continuing the same story and you're seeing the same match in 2 pay-per-views in a row.
do a better job of keeping them apart. You have vast rosters.
Yeah,
Literally, Hogan and Andre didn't touch each other from WrestleMania to Survivor Series. That is literally from April to November. They didn't touch each other.
what other thing you could do too is go back to the format of, okay, pay-per-view in January is Royal Rumble, so that's everybody involved, and whoever wins that gets a title shot. Then at Mania, well, then you have February do a SmackDown pay-per-view, March do a Raw pay-per-view, April you have Mania, where everybody's back together, and then start doing. If you're going to do one every month, rotate them between which show is on, because then you got 2 months for SmackDown to build their stories. If you don't want to watch, and if you don't watch SmackDown, you don't want to see it, you don't have to watch that pay-per-view.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And that's the kind of the reason I like the Money in the Bank, and I think you put it into Mania is because it's another title shot, just like a Royal Rumble thing. So somebody's getting a title shot. Now they can use it whenever, but if you make it its own pay-per-view, I feel like it loses some of that. Let's take the talent who's not in the main event matches normally and give them a chance to try and win it, or even a few of them who might be in main events occasionally. But it gives those people something to do to try and win something at WrestleMania, so then they can plot their story out through the rest of the year.
And Tony Khan, if you're listening right now, you don't follow that format I just laid out. You do 3 a year, one every 4 months. That's what
Dude,
you do. You start there. That's something for you to have a huge bill, because you do have enough TV specials, and that would make your television more special as well when you have big matches on TV instead of all these dream matches that we get on TV. And a lot of them we do get dream matches on there. I give them credit. Like, hey, that's some fucking bangers on Collision here and there. Like literally that match with FTR and was a Bucks was like a fucking 2 out of 3 falls deal.
It wasn't the
Punk and
Bucks, was it?
what
Was it
was
then?
that? No, hell, it was another great tag team. But what I'm saying is you had like some really good matches like that on there. Make them seem more special this way by having 3 pay-per-views a year.
Oh, it was Jay White and what's his name?
Oh, the honeycomb guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Sling Blade, Jay White, and whatever his partner is.
Yeah. The guy's name escapes me. He looks like a little honeycomb critter. That's literally all I see when I see this guy.
It's Bullet Club Gold, right?
Yeah, Bullet Club Gold.
It was them against FTR, and it's like, and I know a lot of people talk about Jay White, but I haven't seen anything out of him other than in that match. And that match was impressive as crap, but what have they done since?
Character-wise, he doesn't really bowl me over, but he in the ring, bell to bell. He's a lot like Will Ospreay. Like I've yet to be bowled over by him. Character-wise, he doesn't do it for me story development wise, but bell to bell, man, he's stellar. That's why he does great. Those guys do great at New Japan because they can't communicate over there with the crowd, so they don't have to. They just bell to bell. They put their shit on.
Yeah,
and that's what they need to do a little better job up there, I think.
But yeah, that was one of the other points too that I've seen about the AEW losing money is that they're going to more pay-per-views and the pay-per-view buys are not there.
Vince has killed the pay-per-view market. I'm sorry.
Well, he has, but when they're doing like, what was it? They started at 4 a year or whatever it was. They actually made money on their pay-per-views. Now that they were up to like, what was it this year, 6 or 8? The last few have not made hardly any money for them.
There's too many of them. They're too close together.
Oh,
and a lot of them are close together, like really close, within 2 weeks sometimes.
He's talking about wanting to do 12 a year.
They're not ready for that.
No,
they're not. They're not ready. They're oversaturating their market right now. Their market is small, unfortunately. The 3 shows they have a week is too much. I would get rid of Rampage immediately. And I would have 2 2-hour shows. And I'd get Collision off fucking Saturday night. And get it somewhere else.
Look at how much wrestling content is on TV in general.
That's
every night of the week.
I do not watch NXT because literally that would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Thursday's the only night, and then you got football that night. My wife would divorce me.
Well, look at this though, because NWA was supposed to get a time slot on CW, which that might have been on Thursdays, but the reality wrestling programs that air too, it's on there every night of the week basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then New Japan is getting a streaming deal into the States, and that's either going to be on the weekends or on Thursday night. So it's like every night basically. It's like
they were on some Sunday afternoons on like various Fox affiliates at one time.
Yeah, it's like nobody has the time to sit there and watch this much wrestling.
Knowing at some point Tony's going to really push a TV deal for ROH, and that's like when or we're going to watch all this.
He just needs to turn one of his shows that he has now in the Ring of Honor if that's what he wants to do.
That would do him better if he turned a Saturday night in the Ring of Honor and actually showcase his talent. Do two different rosters because most of the time you have more ROH championship defenses on Dynamite and Collision than you do on Ring of Honor shit. So pull half of those guys to Ring of Honor, half of those guys to Dynamite, and that'd be your shits.
And I would do a Monday, and basically be like SmackDown or Raw. I'd do a Monday and a Saturday, or whatever day it is that it runs, Wednesday and Saturday show. I would drop that Friday show. Nobody sits at home and wants to watch that on Friday nights.
If I was him, I would move to Tuesdays and Thursdays. I get off the Wednesday, which is not a bad night for him, but I would put AEW back against NXT because they'll win that. I mean, they didn't this last go around just simply because, the fuck, look at how the Vince had to stack the date to do it, but he could only do that one night. He can't do that consistently. So I would put the 18 versus them, and on Thursday nights, I would have Ring of Honor to build your crowd there.
Yeah. Well, I'd wait until I see where SmackDown is going to end up before I decide what day, because I know SmackDown is moving to USA, but they're still up in the air about if it's going to be on Friday nights or a different night at the moment.
But anyone with kind of a social life is not really watching a lot of TV on Friday and Saturday. Right?
No.
Your market that you're really trying to draw out of is your 15 to say 25-year-old male. That should be your demographic. That's what it was during the Attitude Era, and that's what drew. When they had 8 million people watching a week. So why would you not stick to that right here? Get the fuck off Friday and Saturday night when those guys are going to be trying to finger bang Mary J. Rottencrotch or drinking a beer. Get them to a day where they're home.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. But speaking of that, let's take this home before I run out of steam to continue talking for a little bit. So, Hassel, I think we're at a good point now where you can tell everybody where they can find us at before we go to close out.
Man, you can find us most importantly on the YouTube, Nerdy Manroom Show. You can find us on Instagram at the Nerdy Manroom Show. We are on TikTok, the.nerdy.manroom. We are on Facebook at Hassel Hutchison, and we are on Twitter at Nerdy Manroom Show.
And you can find us on Roku. And on Geek Network.
I don't have a sticker for you guys. Give me a sticker.
But while you're doing that, also, if you're interested in joining Geek Network, we're still looking for more members to help with interviews and reviews. We'll put a graphic up here. Check it out for details on how to apply to join. And while you're checking us out, don't forget to go check out our extended Nerdy Manroom family member, Big Rob. You can find him on his channel of Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese Food, where Hassel has guest starred this past week. So make sure you go check that out. And before we leave, we want to give a big thanks to our sponsors. Go check them out as well. These on Collectibles. You can find them on the internet at theseoncollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at These on Collectibles, or in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Visit them for all your nerdy needs. Help them support the local artist community by supporting their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. And stick around and through the credits and check out some special shout outs and thank yous to all of our friends and extended Geek Network family members. Some of their details you can find in the closing credits. And with that, join us here next time. We're going to have a special guest interview. Until then, live nerdy and try to survive the war games.